Hello and welcome to the live draw of the 2013 Allam British Open. We're here at the University of Hull, which has just opened 4 new courts prior to hosting both the pre-qualification and the Masters event of this year's tournament. This is the first ever live draw on PSA Squash TV, and how fitting that it's in honour of the British Open, the longest running and most prestigious tournament on the WSA and PSA Tour. For the occasion, we are delighted to have some very special guests in attendance. Firstly, Dr. Allam of Allam Marine, title sponsor of the British Open and responsible for bringing the event to Hull this year. Dr. Allam, if I could start by asking you what it is about the British Open that inspired you to get involved with the event.
First, I come from a squash family, and I played squash myself in my younger days, and my younger brother was on top 4 in the world. And so squash means a lot. My children, grandchildren here, they played squash on a good level. And my interest in the community here in Yorkshire wanted to do something to get the name more known, especially Hull University and the area. And nothing is better than getting a top international tournament like the British Open. It's, as you know, this is the equivalent of Wimbledon in tennis. You could win any tournament. If you don't win British Open, it's not the same. So that's why I was interested to bring, and good for tourism, good for restaurants, for hotels, for taxis, for spending money in the area. And all countries from around the world coming to play here.
Yeah. So it must be very special this year because the tournament is in Hull, as you've mentioned.
Yes.
Is this your city? This is where you live?
Yes, 43 years now.
So a very special occasion for you and your family.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Could I also ask Nick Ryder, who's CEO of England Squash and Racquetball, to join me? Nick, last year's British Open at the O2 Arena was obviously a resounding success. What can we look forward to as far as the tournament this year is concerned?
Well, Vanessa, one of the things that's really exciting about this year is that we're holding it inside a football stadium. We're holding it at the KC Stadium, which many of you will know is the home of Hull City, which a football club owned by Allam, and which is doing very well at the moment, by the way, in the Championship. First time a major event's ever been held in a football stadium. We've got a fantastic enclosure within the stadium. It will be a totally unique experience for players and spectators alike, so we're really excited about it. And
there's a lot of different things going on, not just obviously the reason we're here, the main draw of the PSA, but there's also a Masters event, and then we have the pre-qualification, a lot of different venues as well.
Absolutely. One of the things we've always felt about the Open is that we wanted it to be genuinely open. So this year we've got 4 regional pre-qualifiers. We've got about 100 players in the pre-qualifying draw. It's a 32 quali draw, and we're trying to make sure that we get the event out to as many places as possible. Bringing it to Yorkshire is really important to us because it's a real powerhouse of squash in this country. We know from having players like James and Nick at the heart of the sport. So bringing it home is really important to us. And so, as I say, we're really excited about all of that.
Great. Well, if I could ask you both just to remain here a while longer, you'll be helping us with the live draw once it starts. And if I could just ask Lee Beachill to sidle up this way and speak to me for a second. Now, Lee, you yourself are a former world number 1. You're the current COO of PSA. Just a few words about the live draw that we're doing here today. Obviously, generally, the draw is done through the push of a button in the PSA office, but this is a little bit special. What do you think it adds to the event, having the live draw here?
I think it adds to everything, and it's something that we've been talking about doing for quite some time, and the British Open, everything around this event, the great work that England Squash has done, obviously having Dr. Allam on board and the great facilities around the KC Stadium and now here at Hull University, it was a perfect event for us to trial doing this draw. It's something that we would like to do for all our major events moving forward, and I just think it adds something to the whole event, the PR, the media and everything that comes attached with it, and we're looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing who comes out the hat.
Aren't we all? Thank you. Also, just a quick mention to our other guests. We have Claudia Schumann here, who is the PSA Tour Executive. She will also be helping us with the draw. And James Willstrop, the current world number 3 and a former world number 1, is also here, and I'll be chatting with him briefly later on. Now, the format for this event is a 32 knockout main draw, and this year we are delighted to announce that it will feature the top 23 players in the world, plus 8 qualifiers and a wild card. Those 8 qualifying spots will be decided following 2 rounds of matches. As I mentioned, they will be held at Pontefract Squash Club as well as here at the University of Hull. The wildcard position is a spot directly into the main draw, and it's awarded by the host promoter. Now this year England Squash and Racquetball has decided to award the wildcard to Adrian Waller. He's a young English player who has been making a rapid rise up the PSA rankings. He's currently ranked 33, so congratulations to Adrian. Now before we start with the actual draw, a few technicalities to go through. Firstly, a qualifier cannot play another qualifier in the first round. And secondly, the wild card also cannot play a qualifier in the first round. So, with this in mind, the draw will actually go as follows. Seeds 1 and 2 will be placed in the relevant positions. Next, we'll draw the seeds 3 and 4 out of a bag, and they'll be placed in their relevant positions in the draw. Then the same will go for seeds 5 to 8. Now, the match that the wild card will be placed in is drawn next. And then the 8 matches that will feature a qualifier are drawn, not including the wildcard match. And last but not least, the players 9 to 23 will be drawn and placed in the available slots from top to bottom. So perfectly simple. So, without further delay, let's proceed with the live draw of this year's Allam British Open. Now, we'll start off by placing world number 1 and the current world champion, Ramy Ashour from Egypt, at the top of the draw, as he is the number 1 seed. Then we have the reigning British Open champion and world number 2, Nick Matthew, who will be placed at the bottom. And then the actual first part of the draw, the numbers 3 and 4 are placed in the bag and will be drawn out.
Number 3.
So first out is number 3, James Willstrop from England, the current world number 3 and a former world number 1, and the recent Canary Wharf Classic winner.
And just to prove that number 4 is in there.
And then we should have the number 4, Gregory Gauthier from France, also a former world number 1 and recently won his 23rd tour title, beating Nick Matthew in the final of the Swedish Open. So then we move on to the 5 to 8 in the same way.
Number 7.
Number 7.
First out we have number 7. That is Amir Shabana, the winner of no less than 4 World Open titles, and he held the top spot of the world rankings for an incredible 33 consecutive months from 2006 to 2008.
Number 6.
Next out is number 6, Mohamed El Shobagi. This 2-time world junior champion from Alexandria in Egypt is in the form of his life. Just last year, at the tender age of 22, he made it through to the final of the World Open, eventually losing to number 1, Ramy Ashour, in a tight 5 games.
Number 8.
Number 8, Peter Barker. Englishman Peter Barker made it to a career high of 5 in the world last December, and most recently made it to the final of the Canary Wharf Classic, beating compatriot Nick Matthew. Final out of the 5 to 8 is Kareem Darwish, the world number 5 from Egypt, made it to the top of the world rankings in 2008 and has consistently been in the top 10 ever since. So that's the top 8 seeds determined and their places in the draw. So we'll move on to the wild card and the qualifying positions. Firstly, we'll draw out a number which will correspond with the match number down the draw, and that is where Adrian Waller, the wild card, will be placed. So 16 balls are placed in the bag. As I said, they correspond with the 16 matches in the draw from top to bottom. So
Number 7.
Number 7. So there we go, that's where Adrian Waller will go. So he doesn't have a top 8 seed in the first round. And these are, in the same manner, we'll draw out the slots where the qualification players will go.
Yep.
Okay.
Match number 12.
So first qualification spot is number 12. So Peter Barker will play a qualifier in the first round.
Match number 16.
Match number 16. So that's right at the bottom. Nick Matthew, also a qualifier.
Match number 11.
Slot 11 in the draw. Still open.
Match number 13.
So that's with Kareem Darwish.
Match number 10. Match number 2.
So 2 more qualifying spots.
Match number 15. And finally, match number 3.
So there we have the 8 qualifying spots. And next, the players 9 to 23 will be placed in the bag and drawn out. As they are drawn, they'll then be placed from top to bottom in the remaining slots in the draw. And as I mentioned, the whole top 23 in the world is playing, so the numbers 9 to 23 actually correspond with the numbers 9 to 23 in the world rankings. So,
all in.
First out, we'll play Rami Ashur of Egypt.
Not sure who wants this one.
I don't think anyone wants this one.
Number 11.
So, number 11 is Omar Mossad. So, 2 Egyptians in the first round. Omar Mossad beat compatriot Kareem Darwish in the quarters last year and made it to a career high of 8 in the December 2012 rankings.
Number 21.
Number 21 is from Switzerland, Nicolas Müller. He is the highest ever ranked Swiss player. First broke into the top 20 in September and has 7 tour titles to date.
Number 9.
Number 9, Borja Golan from Spain. Borja's in the form of his life and currently at his highest world ranking of 9.
Number 20.
Number 20, Englishman Adrian Grant. This experienced Englishman has been on the PSA Tour since 1999. He has 12 tour titles to his name and a highest world ranking of 9.
Number 23.
Number 23, Miguel Angel Rodriguez. This Colombian first broke into the top 20 in September 2008 and has an impressive 20 tour titles to his name.
Number 17.
Number 17, the Australian Cameron Pilley. Currently Australia's top ranked player. Cameron has 11 tour titles to date and a highest world ranking of 11.
Number 22.
Number 22 is Ong Beng Hee. The Malaysian number 1 has a highest world ranking of 7, which he reached in 2001, and he won gold at both the 2002 and 2006 Asian Games.
Number 12.
Number 12 is Simon Rosner from Paderborn in Germany, currently at a career high of 12 in the rankings, which he reached in March of this year.
Number 18.
Number 18 is Stephen Coppinger, born in Ireland but representing South Africa. He's currently at his highest world ranking of 18, which he reached in April of this year after a great run of results.
Number 13.
Number 13 is Alistair Walker, former English player but now representing Botswana. Alistair has 7 tour titles to his name and currently only 1 spot away from his highest world ranking of 12.
Number 19.
Number 19, Saurav Gosal, based at nearby Pontefract Squash Club and the Indian number 1. He has a highest world ranking of 18 and 5 tour titles to date.
Number 10.
And number 10 is Tariq Momin. The young Egyptian made it to his highest world ranking of 10 in April of this year.
Number 15.
Number 15 is Tom Richards, another Englishman. Had a biggest win of his career last year, beating Hisham Ashur and Thierry Linku to win the 4th tour title of his career. He has a highest world ranking of 12.
14.
Number 14.
Number 14, another Englishman, Darryl Selby, former British national champion, has 10 tour titles to his name, last of which was last April at the Grasshopper Cup in Zurich.
And just to make sure he's in there, number 16.
Last one out, number 16, Lawrence Jananyama. He's the most successful Dutch men's player of all time and was a quarter-finalist at last year's British Open, which was a career high. So there we have it, the completed main draw for this year's British Open. Now I'm delighted to have world number 3, James Willstrop here. James, if you could join me for a quick chat. Now, before we talk about the draw, can I just ask you about this year's event? Obviously, it's in Hull, you're a Yorkshireman. Does that make this year's tournament especially significant?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, from a travel point of view, as much as anything, it's such a relief because we travel so much on the World Tour. It's great to be playing in my home county, where, as it's already been said, the squash is so strong. Hopefully, we'll have some support here. And what a great new thing this is for the British Open and for squash. Hull is a completely new destination. Most people will not have heard of it. A lot of the players won't know about it. Brilliant to be putting the game into a new pocket in the UK and the world. So very exciting. And as a Yorkshireman, I'm extremely excited about playing here in a month's time.
And just looking at the draw, I'm sure you've had a quick look already at your own draw, but ignoring that for a moment, is there anything that stands out, any matches that you would urge people to come down and watch?
Well, I think the way the draws are done now, I just think there's every single draw we have, there are ties that are very, very kind of mouth-watering in those first round areas, and you look at Rami and Mossad first rounds, I think that one of them is going home after the first day, and myself, I've got Steve Coppinger who's in great form. You look at Pilley and Bengi, and then down the bottom is, I think, Richards and Selby, which is that's a big affair for an big English battle.
Some big local rivalries.
So yeah, and I just think these draws are really interesting because they do the first rounds. It's just so cutthroat, straight in, and you've got these big affairs really. So there are a few that I pointed out, but I'm sure the first rounds will be very entertaining, as they always are nowadays.
Definitely. Okay, well, I'd just like to thank all our guests for joining us, and thank you for helping us with the draw. So that's it, some incredible squash to look forward to. Tickets are still available at britishopensquash.net and at ticketmaster.com. So the semi-finals are actually already sold out. The final is almost sold out, so I do urge you to get your tickets quite soon. And thank you for tuning in to our first ever live draw on PSA Squash TV. Thank you.